wedding with Ciara. We both want to thank all of you for being here tonight. There's some who traveled from the Northwest, from the East Coast, some who walked probably here, JP. You're here because we want you to be in our life for the rest of our life. And it means the world to Ciara and me that you are here. So on behalf of both of us, we just want to thank all of you for showing up. It's not easy, and we want you to show up for the rest of our lives. So to you, I raise my glass. So, never in my wildest dreams would I have imagined that when I came down to California to really learn technology inside and out, that I would have married a girl from here. Not yet, but it's coming. Never in my wildest dreams would I have thought that I wasn't going back home and rooting for the Seahawks and the Huskies. I was going to have a big, and I'll never forget. I'll never forget. From the first text message, or from the first OK Cupid message that Ciara sent me. I was actually going to hang out with John at the Oregon Trail party, and I got the message from Ciara, and I thought, this girl seems cool, and so I messaged her back.
From here, no way.
And we walked through the city, and I mean, I kind of knew a little bit that I wanted to spend some more time with this girl. We had this epic first date. We hung out in the park together. We danced together. We went to food together. We went to dinner together. We hung out all night. I took you home, or I think you may have took a taxi. No. You took a taxi home. And I drove back to. I at the time lived in East Palo Alto, and we kept going. And there was a point where throughout this wedding planning process, I had asked you the question of, how long have you been thinking about this, getting married thing? And you told me, for most of my life. And it didn't hit me that, girls grow up and they're princesses and they dream of having husbands and having weddings. And so for me, I wish I asked you sooner. And yeah, so thank you for saying yes. Woo! So, thank you for standing by me, for getting to know my grandpa. He adored you. Thank you for believing in me and pushing me, and for being the CEO of this rehearsal dinner. I can't wait for our future, and thank you for the last 4 years. So at this time, I would like to bring up Toast to Ciara. So at this time, I'd like to call up Craig and Kathy Viewing. A round of applause for Craig and Kathy. Welcome, Lauren Jurgens.
Hey, Lauren.
Ciara's fellow brother, Lauren Jurgens. Real smooth. Yeah. So a good friend of mine once told me that the phone call is the new handwritten letter. And that's Brian Otis, who's here. Brian, great to have you from Seattle.
Nice to hear.
And so I've been spending the last few weeks writing letters to the people that have helped make this possible and have been a part of my life. So I wrote you a letter. Let me read it. Ships. So, to Craig, Kathy, Kayleen, and Chris. So I really love you guys. Solely, and rest in peace to Tabasco too. From the early days of our relationship, you welcomed me with open and just very loving arms. Even though I'm a Seattle sports fan. you've also helped sharpen me. And this is something that I look forward to for the rest of my days with Ciara. My family will be stronger, smarter, and now much more Irish with you in it. My Grandpa Jack isn't here anymore, but he sure felt comfortable and welcome when he spent time with you. And that meant the world to both Ciara and me. Also, thank you for the work and the investment and the love you put into our wedding. Tomorrow is going to be a day we're going to remember for the rest of our lives. I love you.
First of all, I want to thank Chris for the beautiful ship. And for the very kind words, really. We're not going to hog a lot of time here. There's a lot of people who have to talk, but I want to really welcome Chris's family, the McCoys and the extended family from Kelso and Eugene and elsewhere. I know you guys are Seattle Seahawks fans and Ducks fans and Dog fans. So we won't have that against you. Seriously, welcome. And we are so happy that you have shared Chris with us, because we've just had a ball getting to know Chris. He's taught me the finer points of cornhole. And I have tried to teach him how to play Krolf, which is golf according to Craig, which is basically golf plus cheating. So it's really good. So Chris, I'm going to be talking a lot more tomorrow. I've got a lot of things to say, but Chris, we love you, brother. We're so glad you're going to be part of our family, and so glad that all of your friends and family are here in San Francisco to celebrate with us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Can't wait to build a family with you, Craig and Kathy. So, now I'd like to recognize my best man, my Uncle Steve. Give it up for my Uncle Steve. Steve, real backstory, born with cerebral palsy, didn't affect his head, so he can't walk on his own. So as a little boy, I used to ask him, Uncle Steve, when are you going to learn how to walk? And he'd tell me, never, brother, never. There were times in our life where Steve lived with us. There were times in my life where our family lived with him. He's a brother. To Cam, Daniel, me, we got lucky with him. And so it's a real honor to have you here, buddy. And thanks for bringing Joey to the bachelor party. I wrote you a letter too. Let me open it up. So, Uncle Steve, I asked you to be my best man simply because you are. I'm very thankful to God, actually, that Grandpa showed up delivering mail at your mom Donna's house, and then married her and raised 7 kids with her and with other women. I didn't get the perfect childhood. Instead, I got a village of aunts and uncles who stood by my side through the ups, the downs, and what the hell's happening right now. Led by you. You were the soul of our family. I know Grandpa's smiling down on both of us. He brought us together. Love you. Now I'd like to recognize Linda Olson and Mark. Round of applause for Linda. So, I don't know if you can tell, but Linda is not my mom. By blood, at least. So, when I was 15, my grandpa had asked me to move in with him. Things weren't going great at home, and so I did. And it was pretty crazy time. And Linda showed up in my life. She was a counselor at Kelso High School, and she helped me sort through life, really. And there's a reason I ended up, played baseball. I was pretty big in DECA, and it was because of her. The things we had to do to give me that schedule. And usually, you leave your high school people, you don't spend great, teachers especially, but all throughout University of Washington, college, she was my mom. Every Christmas, we'd have dinner together. She'd give me a gift. And so when I got a chance to introduce Ciara to her, it was kind of the I know moment. And so I want to thank you, Linda, for being here. I love you.
I just wanted to tell you a story about Chris. As a high school counselor at Kelso High, we had 400 kids in a class, and sophomore boys, and excuse me to all the gentlemen here, but they are the most giant pain in the ass. They are immature, they don't know what they want, and I used to spend the fall semester at Kelso High getting calls from moms saying, my kid, my son, my 16-year-old son is flunking biology, he's flunking math, he's flunking social studies. What can you do to fix it? And I said, he needs to grow up. The good news is by the time kids get to be juniors, young men, they turn into really cool, awesome people. So I am the counselor for OZ. They called me the Oz counselor. And into my office, in his sophomore year, walks Chris McCoy. And I said, you're not in my alphabet. I said, well, I want to apply for a scholarship. And there was a scholarship for leadership for sophomores. And Chris applied. And you cannot believe the beautiful paperwork and the work that he did and the leadership he showed for that scholarship. And of course, he won it. And after I would talk to him, I'd think, this kid is not for real. He's not for real. But he was. He was authentic, he was mature, and we spent the next 3 years together as compatriots. And to tell you the truth, there were times in my office when I was the one in tears because Chris moved me so much and so deeply by his maturity and the way he handled his life. And I prayed for him that he could meet someone who would love him and give him a wonderful life. And he has met the woman that I have prayed for. And thank you, Ciara. And I just raise my prayer, not my glass, but a prayer of thanks to God for this union and pray a blessing on all of you in your lives and on them from this day forever. And Chris, I love you.
Love you too. Thank you, Linda. So now I'd like to call Mike Gaffney and his wife Sherry. So I go to University of Washington and I enter the Fiji House, and I'm in this completely new world for me. And I went to church by myself in high school and wanted to connect into a Christian community when I got to Seattle. And Mike was the pastor for the End, which is the University Ministries. And Mike Gaffney is, I know not many people know him here, but he's a legend. I want to raise a glass right now, not only as one of the best college pastors in America when he was, but he just got his team, the 1984 right? Huskies, just got elected into the Husky Hall of Fame. Mike was the defensive back. And through the years, I got to know his wife, Sherry, who became, like Mike, a mentor, very in love with what Sean Hardy, who left. We're kind of all a team. Thank you. And Mike is our pastor for tomorrow.
Well, thanks. Well, it's a privilege to be back. You're going to hear a lot from me tomorrow, so I'll keep this really quick and short. But the thing about Chris, and a lot of you that have gotten to know him, it's been a privilege to be able to be a big brother for you in life, Chris. And I was the youngest of 9 kids, and a good Irish Catholic family, and as you can probably tell, youngest of 9. So I was always a little kid, being told what to do. And so it was great to have a guy like Chris come into my life where I could tell him what to do. But more importantly, you did. You were seeking out advice. You're trying to figure some stuff out. I walked with you through some previous relationships that you've had in your life. We've had a lot of deep conversations about stuff. But I tell you what, you found a gal that makes you a better man. And it's very evident from those of us that have known you for a long time that you found a good deal here. And we're proud of you that you noticed it and are stepping in. So we're going to be standing strong with you guys tomorrow. So we're happy to be here. So thanks.
Thanks, Jeff. So to my groomsmen, I just want to say all of you guys are here because you're true brothers to me, including my brother, Daniel. You love me for my weaknesses, and you know most of them. You love me for my strengths. Just know this, for the rest of our days, I'll think of you as brothers. I'll stand beside you. I'll walk with you through the tough times, through the great times, and most of the time we'll be your number one fan, rooting you on. So you got a brother in me. Love you guys. Cheers. So as you know, most of you know, we have a big night of content in store. And you know how much I love content. So the goal here is to hear stories about our families, our friends, and about our future. And we want you to drink merrily, have a good time, get to know each other. And before I transition, I want to thank Jason and Tristan for joining us this weekend. If you haven't already noticed, amazing musicians. Jason is University of Washington by day, getting his PhD, and by night he plays piano at Canlis in the Space Needle. Tristan is his friend, who you'll see tomorrow as a world-class singer. Thank you guys for making the trip down for Ciara. It means so much. I want to thank Hannah, who is looking at some of my projects to come out and run sound. Appreciate it. Aiden, thank you for coming out and running video. Crystal, thank you for being general manager of tonight's restaurant. I want to thank Bobby and Brett as the bro tenders. And I want to thank, just again, the last you'll hear from me about thanking everyone here. Thank you. It means the world to my family and to me. Love you guys. I'll turn it over to my fiancée, Ciara. My beautiful fiancée, Ciara.
I was only told about this content piece maybe a few days ago, so this is a surprise. Thank you all so much for being here. I am beyond thrilled to have so many familiar faces. Actually, everyone is familiar here because I've been to a ton of weddings with Chris, visited Seattle a ton, and have gotten to know a lot of Chris's side, all of his friends, which is amazing, and his family. I'm so thankful that I have so many amazing friends who are here to join me tonight. I have friends from all stages of my life, as you will see tonight and at the wedding tomorrow. I have a giant bridal party, which I'm thrilled about. But everyone from grade school to high school to after school, and just absolutely excited for everyone to be here. I also really want to give a big thanks to my parents. They have put on, you will see tomorrow, an incredible wedding. And my dad has done an amazing spreadsheet. If anyone is getting married next, which I have quite a few friends that are, please talk to my dad or have your dads talk to my dad, because he has got the guest list, RSVP spreadsheet, the drink spreadsheet calculator thing going. It's amazing. Yeah, he's going to start charging for that. And my mom, she has put so many details into this wedding, from the thank you gifts, from just endless, all the gift bags that you guys see tonight, just so many details that she has poured her heart and soul into, so thank you so much.
So here's what we have in store for content. Ciara and I are going to talk about how we met each other, our life story in 5 minutes or less. And then we're going to invite our families up to talk about our family history. Then we're going to take a break. And then we're going to come back and we're going to hear from our bridesmaids and our groomsmen. And then we're going to celebrate deep into the night.
All right, so with the festivities tonight being a taco Mexican themed, that I started my life with. I must say it's quite humbling to narrow down your entire life into 5 minutes or less. I'm going to do my very best to do that. What did you just do?
I'm just trying to do this.
I don't need a clicker. No. All right. All right. So I exploded into this world February 11th, 1987. My mom will tell you I actually broke her tailbone on the way out. I was very eager to be here. My dad had some very interesting fashion sense. And my mom was as beautiful as always. But yeah, I was born in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. So I actually spent the first 9 months of my life there. And it was just the three of us, and things were great. And I also had an incredible G unit of grandparents and great-grandparents who brought me into this world as well. I've got my wonderful grandma, Peggy, and my grandpa, Buddy. He will be there tomorrow. That's my mom's parents. And then I've got my Nana and Bumpa on my dad's side, who were also here when I was born and are still here. I got to name Bumpa as being the oldest child, grandchild. I couldn't say grandpa, so Bumpa became his name, and all my siblings then had to call him Bumpa, too. So. Fun fact, I also had 3 great-grandparents when I was born, so Chris, I have great genes in the family. So when you say I do to forever tomorrow, it's going to be for a very long time. So as I mentioned, about 9 months old, my family packed us up and we moved back to San Francisco where my parents actually fell in love and met. I traveled, my dad will have to tell you this story over a drink, but I came to San Francisco in a toilet paper box in our rental truck, not in a car seat. It was a glorious trip, but we came to San Francisco and then suddenly someone else entered my life, my brother Christopher. I was enjoying life with my 2 parents, and then my brother came in, and as you can tell, I wasn't totally thrilled. He really didn't do a lot. It was kind of boring. Didn't really know what to do with him, but eventually I learned to love him. He was a great addition to our family. So it was just the 4 of us for a while. But I can say I'm trying to sum up my life in different sectors. With my brother not being able to do much, I took on a hobby, which was Irish dancing. And Irish dancing became my hobby for the next 11 years of my life. My mom entered me in my first Irish dancing class when I was 3 years old, and I did it all the way through 8th grade before I started high school. And it met some amazing life friends, my cousin Ashlyn, who is a bridesmaid tomorrow. And we spent our lives dancing in our basements and traveling around the world, Irish dancing and curling our hair and wearing wigs and doing weird things. But yeah, it was wonderful, and I loved Irish dancing, and you'll probably get to see it tomorrow night too. Get your jigs ready. I did have other sports as well. I tried basketball and soccer. I was terrible at it, so I kept Irish dancing. And then my sister was born. As you can see, I wasn't totally thrilled. I was just getting used to having my brother and I. She didn't do much either. But then, like my brother, I did learn to love her. And we, for the next forever, made wonderful Christmas cards for years and years and years to come. Yeah, that was just, this was gonna, we have 5 minutes. We're going to fast forward through all of grade school. And then I went to high school, and I can sum up high school as I met an incredible group of women in my life, 5 of them which are in my wedding tomorrow. My greatest high school friends. And high school, I met great friends and I ran. And that's what I did. I stopped Irish dancing, I started running. And that is what my high school world was. And then I went to college. My junior year, summer junior year, before senior year, I signed with UCLA and got a run. The steeplechaser. You can find an epic YouTube video of me falling and during a race. It's pretty great. It was a great steeplechaser. But also met some great friends. We got Allie, my friend Allie here, from all the way from Nashville. We were buddies throughout running with a terrible coach, but we had a great time together. So college, I met some amazing running friends and just friends in general. My bridesmaid Lauren. Fun fact, we actually lived in the same room for 4 years with each other all throughout UCLA. Yes. And she's still here. Yeah, she's still here. Ellen's my other amazing friend. Ellen and I met Ellen freshman year. She was a swimmer at UCLA. And then moved in with us our senior year. She taught herself Arabic. And we were all very in awe of what she was doing. And Chris and I actually got to travel to her wedding in Egypt to Alex this past year, which was amazing. And then our other friend, Caitlin's not here tonight. Caitlin was a volleyball player. She is very tall. You will see her tomorrow. But I can sum up my college years as amazing friends, truly amazing friends, and running. After college, I took 1 year abroad, and I quit running completely. After Irish dancing and running my whole life, I decided to stop working out and just drink. It was great. So I traveled all throughout Europe. And they say, you didn't get fat, you didn't have fun. I had a lot of fun when I was in Europe. It was great. Yeah, I know. Yeah. After college, I took a job at Lululemon, which was great, just because I had spent a whole year not working out. Suddenly I had to work out for my job, which is great. But it was my first job out of college, and I learned some amazing things. It was an incredible company. I loved working there. But more than anything, it was totally worth it because I met my wonderful life friend, Martha, who is in our wedding tomorrow as well. So it was totally worth it as it got kind of crazy towards the end. But another great thing about working at Lululemon is that's when I had a manager who told me she had just moved from Texas and she was dating all these people. We went on a run, she was telling me about all her dates, and I was like, how are you meeting these people? I don't understand. I'm living in San Francisco. I don't understand how you're going on all these dates and I can't meet anyone. And she told me to go online, which I was not thrilled about, but I will never forget. She told me, you set goals around your career, you set goals around your family, you set goals for so many things in your life. You can't expect someone to walk into your life. You got to actually put yourself out there and try it. So I went online, thanks to Lululemon, and then I met my future husband, and now we're here. So I don't know if that was 5 minutes, but that was as good as I could do. So.
Everyone get a drink.
Let's do this. Let's do a quick, everyone take 10 minutes, get a quick drink. Let's talk about the social media.
I can whistle for that.
Lakers. All right, welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much. So, this is my history in 5 minutes. So it all started with my grandpa Jack, baby Jack there, born in Oklahoma, military. This is the first test run with the clicker, so. Right here, right? There we go. My grandpa's the third one down here. And he had my mom. That is my mom, Ciara, and my real dad, Leo, who was born himself in Oakland, California. So I was born Christopher Flores, but some of you know I'm 25% Hispanic. And I never knew my dad. He never was around, so it was just my mom and my uncles and my grandpa. And they had my brother Cam. My mom had Cam when she was 17 years old. And then I came along at 19. And my grandpa kind of brings her back from Oakland to Longview, Kelso, Washington. We live in a small apartment, just walks away from my grandpa's house. And that's kind of how our family began. It was just my mom, Cam, and me. And my brother is not here today, but I can speak on behalf of Daniel. So talented, so unique. And it was a lot of fun being his younger brother. Daniel comes along, different dad, but raised like we were all full brothers. So, and he was great. Daniel was a firecracker, an instigator, and he became my sports buddy from the time we were just little babies. And we had a lot of fun together as kids. It was just our mom, your grandpa lived down the street, Uncle Steve, a number of other uncles, but we were a pretty close-knit unit. Didn't have a lot, food stamps and free lunch, but we got by. And I'm Joe Montana. I gotta say, I was a Joe Montana fan when I was a little kid. And my mom's a beautiful woman, which was a blessing and a curse. And we did a lot of things together that you probably wouldn't do with your own kids. But we survived. And we love our mom. And we played a lot of sports. A lot of sports. So I didn't get any photos of you here, Daniel, but we played them all, baseball, football, and basketball. I was only really good at one thing, which is throwing. I could do the other things, but I was not very good at the other things. And Daniel's actually probably the best athlete in terms of being able to do all the things. But we grew up at the ball field. We stayed there from we get there at 8 o'clock on Saturday. We stay there till 6, 7, 8 p.m. Grandpa would give us $5. We get a cheeseburger here, some JoJo's there, and that was our life. And I was always a bit of a nerd, and I didn't know it until I got older. So my grandpa, Jack, which some of you know, and this is the point in my story where if you're a part of this story, go ahead and just raise your hand real quick so people know, all the people in the room that are part of my life. I think that'll be a cool way to know me a little bit. So my grandpa, he was basically our dad, and he signed us up for all of our sports and took us to all our practices, and I mean, legendary guy. And, you know, adored Ciara. I'll talk about that in a bit, but we won the lottery with my grandpa. And played a lot of sports. I used to be pretty chunky. And when I was 15, so fast forward, things with my mom started to fall out, and my grandpa says, "Hey, you want to live with me?" And I said, "Sure, I'd love to." So he invites me into his house. When I'm 15 years old, I moved out of my mom's, moved away from Daniel. Cam had already moved out. It's pretty tough, but for the first time, I can remember the first time I went to Grandpa and Betty's house, and my mom smoked, and so our house smelled like smoke all the time. And I remember taking my clothes and put it in this blue Mazda, and then put it in that side room at Betty's house and Jack's house, and it just smelled like smoke. I remember thinking, my life's never going to be the same again. This is going to go away. And my grandpa really normalized me. He gave me an opportunity to do things. And it wasn't just my grandpa. I had this incredible Uncle Kirby, who I want to recognize tonight. My uncle's sisters and brother, Darwin, my Aunt Donna, and my Aunt Tracy. So this is, I wish everyone in the world had a family like theirs. And I was very lucky to be able to have Kirby come into my life and kind of team up with my grandpa. Because when I moved in, actually, the true story is when I moved in, my grandpa's wife told Jack, it's either me or him. And my grandpa divorced her. And he chose me. And so I spent a lot of my teenage years hanging out with Kirby. Kirby's one of the most talented people you'll ever meet in your life. Literally, probably could have ran the mafia if he wanted to. And, you know, yeah. So then I go to Kelso High School. And I play baseball. And I love baseball. We all did, but I had like a 15-mile-per-hour inflection on my fastball one year, and everything changed. All of a sudden, I was a prospect, chance to go to college. I also love this organization called DECA, which is sort of entrepreneurship and marketing. And my Uncle Kirby, I showed up in my Winnie the Pooh tie one day, and I said, I need to raise some money, Kirby. And he he was disabled at this point. He had, what was it? Yeah, Colostomy bags. So he didn't work. So he was basically raising money for all the local sports in our hometown, helping build concession stands and batting cages, and he helped me run my campaigns. And this is our first campaign, the real wave, the Millennium. Uncle Steve, you were up for that. Yeah. It was one of my first times to Bellevue, Washington. My brother Cam, he, was an athlete of his own. He gets a scholarship to play at the University of Washington. I become the state president, and this is where I met Colin and Josh. And we, at one point, Kelso High School almost won the state championship. That was pretty cool. And I get a chance to play baseball at the University of Washington. But instead, I decided to take a year off, run for national DECA president. I won. And I took a year off of college and high school. And high school was great. Great buddy Josh Boatsman and his mom Diane are here. We had a really good time. Linda. And we graduated. And I traveled a year as a national president of DECA. I'm on TV, the Jerry Lewis NBA telethon. And it was sort of kind of an out-of-body experience for a year. I was very jealous of Colin that he was in college at Marquette and was having a good time, and I was traveling the country wearing suits, hotel to hotel, airport to airport. And then I go to finally enroll at the University of Washington. Go Dogs! And I get recruited kind of accidentally into the Fiji fraternity, where I end up meeting some of my best friends for life. This is us our freshman year. Pretty amazing. If you're here and you're in the fraternity, raise your hand so everyone knows. These are some of the best men I'll meet for the rest of my days. I love you guys. I lived with my grandpa in college in Shirley's house. I slept on the couch. I'd come home on the Amtrak, and that was my life. College, we had a really good time. We watched a lot of sports. We went to Eugene and watched the Ducks and the Huskies a bunch. Legendary trips. I ended up creating my own major because I wanted to just sort of take advantage of my chance at the University of Washington. Backtrack, I ended up sort of retiring from baseball my freshman year. I had an injury that I knew I'd never sort of be elite again, so I maximized it. So I ended up sort of auditing the master's program, technology management at the University of Washington, the real estate development program. I got finally, after 10 years I graduated, but it was incredible. We played a lot of flag football. When I stopped playing ball, I went to the Dominican Republic on a program that Mike had built to go play baseball and kind of preach the gospel to kids down there, and fell in love with it. And I ended up helping start this thing called I Love Baseball Foundation, which we brought education to these kids who were getting taken out of their communities, and it was pretty cool. And right around the same time, started Your Sports, we started out of baseball. My dad passed away my senior year, probably a month before graduation, and I never knew him, but it was, I'll never forget bringing my mom there just so she could say goodbye. And started this company called Your Sports. It's kind of legendary. A bunch of, if you're Your Sports connected, raise your hand. Love you guys. We moved into this house called the Mullet. If you live in the mullet, raise your hand. And there's a party in the back, business in the front, or maybe the other way. But we ran an internet company from our basement. And it was, I had no idea what I was doing. I learned a lot. We failed a few times, stayed in there. Did a lot of work with I Love Baseball. Watched a lot of sports with my buddies. And, you know, Daniel, my grandpa and I would go back to Lewiston, Idaho to visit my mom. Tried to do that once a year. She's still a part of our life. We had a big 75th birthday with my grandpa, which he said was the best day of his life. Took him to the Mariners game. My grandpa is just a diehard Mariners fan, so we're big sports fans. And I finally, 10 years later, graduated University of Washington. And then along the way, my best buddy Colin has kids. And honored me by asking me to be their godkids. And that's one of the best compliments I'll ever get. And I'm in Silicon Valley, not sure what direction my life's going to take. And I was in a long-term relationship with a great girl, but it just wasn't the right fit. And I had a big life decision: do I go back to Seattle or do I stay down here and try to really build my company? And I didn't really have an answer, but I did get on the internet. And that's where I met Ciara. And my grandpa loved her a lot. And then I got a chance to be Ciara's dad and mom and brother and sister. And they made it all kind of start to make sense. And a lot of fun with the Viewicks. They're an amazing family. I would say I won the sort of in-law lottery with them. And I'm very excited about the future. They are wonderful people, going to be wonderful people for our future as well. And my grandpa and Ciara kind of dated, I think. He really loved Ciara. And, continue to visit. This is my mom today. Continue to visit her. And usually fly to Spokane and take a rental car about 2 hours south and hang out with her in Lewiston, take her to Applebee's and Starbucks, and we have a routine. And my grandpa passed away a few years back, but we did this really cool thing where I had to tell his life story on video, and it was very special. And I didn't think he was going to pass away. None of us did. It happened a lot faster than we thought, but that was cool. And when he did pass away, it was kind of like, it's time to be a man. And that's when I started to think very seriously about Ciara forever. I started a new project, a nonprofit, Data for America, which my friend Craig Montori is a big part of. Thank you, Craig. I left Your Sports. The moment I left Your Sports, I said the next thing. Literally went and started ring shopping. I'm going to marry Ciara. And we got engaged. And I want to thank Colleen Fredericks for organizing this incredible surprise party. Some of you may know, but I started a new company, which is like it's going really well. And Ciara and I traveled the world. We went to Ireland. We went to Ellen and Alex's wedding in Egypt. Incredible. And, we just had an amazing bachelor party. So, the future is ours. Now I would like to introduce Ciara's aunt, Jill Viewig, who is going to tell the story of the Viewig family in 5 minutes or less. So, if you need to hit the restroom, I would say hold it. We're going to do 3 family stories. We're going to take another break, and then the groomsmen and bridesmaids will have their stories. Thank you very much, Jill.
Thank you, Chris.
There you go.
Clicker. Awesome. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Hello. So I'm Jill Viewig. I am Craig Viewig's sister, and I'm the aunt of the bride, and I'm very happy to be here. According to Chris McCoy, I am also an expert on the history of the Viewig family. So tonight, for just a couple minutes, I'm going to take you back in time a little bit and tell you a little bit about the Viewig family history. So here is the bride, back when Chris McCoy was but a twinkle in her eye. And here are the bride's parents back when Ciara was just a twinkle in their eye. That was 1985. And now we're going to take you a little bit further back in history. This is Craig in college, in high school, in junior high. Excellent haircut, Craig. And then we refer to this picture as when Craig was going through his chairman of the board phase. That happened. Okay, I like that slide a lot. Right. Now I'm going to take you to 1964, and I picked this year because it was a great year. It was the year I was born. Page 2. Okay, here is the Viewig family in 1964. You see Dick, Marilyn, Jill, I'm a cute baby. You see our brother Mark, he's the tall one with the cat. We always seem to have a cat. And then there's Craig, he has a gun. I don't know why. And then I want to introduce you here to Flora Hines Hill. She is the bride's father's mother's mother. That's a real thing too. And in her lap are Craig, who's really adorable, and he's looking on fondly at me. I look a little blank, but there I was. Okay, so, Chris, I want you to know I took this assignment seriously. I joined Ancestry.com. It's about $40 a month, I want you to know. I'll send you that bill. Okay, this is Craig Viewig's pedigree, going back about 4 generations. And there you see, there's Craig on the far left, and then above him is Richard, my dad, over there. Below him is Marilyn. And then we have their parents. So my dad's parents are Will and Mildred. We called her Millie. And then my mom's parents are Charles Lynn, we called him Lynn, Grandpa Lynn, and Mary. And then it goes back further than that. And I'm telling you, you can get lost in Ancestry.com. Like, don't even go there. It's really dangerous. It soaks up all your time. But there's his pedigree. And so I found a lot of things from Ancestry.com. And unfortunately, they don't all fit into a 3 to 5 minute speech about the Viewig family history. So you'll have to catch me tomorrow to learn more. But I do want to share just a few highlights. Okay, the woman on the left is my mom's mom. Her name was Flora Folk, and I found out that her people were mostly from New York and New Hampshire, and I found a little bit of way back some Dutch people there too, so that was really interesting. And then the people on the right are 2 other grandparents of my mother, of Craig's mother, and of Ciara's grandmother, Marion Montrose Hill and Flora Hines Hill. And I found out that they were from Tennessee. So that was kind of interesting, and it seemed like for generations back, they were all from Tennessee. And then this is my father, Dick Viewig, right in the middle of that picture, that adorable little boy. He looks a little mischievous. He's surrounded by his family, and on the left is our grandpa Bill, and on the right is our grandma Millie. And let's see, her family goes all the way back to England, including Bratton Fleming Devon and Stokes River, Devonshire, if anyone knows England. So that is some historical facts. But then I wanted to find a few fun things from the history, and so I found these mostly in Grandma Millie's family. That is Grandma Millie. She has an excellent hat. Her name was Mildred Tompkins Viewig, and the Tompkins family has their history researched by some relative I don't know, but there is a 352-page book back there that tells you all about that. But she had some interesting people in her family, and there are pictures of them, and that's why I sort of focused on them to make some connections for you tonight between those relatives and some of the people that you know and love from Ciara's family. So here is a picture from 1912 taken in Sheffield, Illinois, and that is a women's basketball team. And on that team, that is Aunt Leah, Grandma Millie's one of her older sisters, and that's Aunt Flutie, Florence Flutie, another sister of my grandma's, Grandma Millie. And they were on a basketball team, and you know who else was good at sports? This girl. You see the connection? Okay, here's the next one. Okay, this is Grandma Millie's older brother, Bert, Leslie Bert Tompkins. He had a son named Bruce. Bruce was a police officer. And look who else is a police officer. I know, right? Okay, last but not least. Wait, I have to look at this name. This is Mabel Ella Tompkins Wilson Hubble. Yes, she had many husbands. And she was a principal at a school outside of Denver, Colorado, where I live, which I didn't know until I did all this research, so that was interesting. Thank you, Chris. And Mabel kind of looks like someone else we know. So Kayleen, at one point, was the star of the Matilda movie by Kayleen, directed by Kayleen, produced by Kayleen, edited by Kayleen, acted by Kayleen, and she played Miss Honey, and I see a connection, and I think you do too. Oh, that's the end.
Thank you, and Jill. Professionally, Jill raises money for the Denver Museum of History, Nature and Science. That was amazing. Now I would like to introduce, open the stage, Gar, Trace. My great aunt, my grandpa's sister, and Donnie, you might as well come up here as well, please. These are my grandpa's siblings, my Aunt Tracy, my Uncle Darwin, and...
Give me the damn mic you're talking about.
Oh, no, hold on, let me go back.
Talk about a tough act to follow, Joe. He's wearing it.
They won already.
Oh. Here's Edward McCoy. I'm not sure who he is. I'm not thinking he must be related. These are my sisters, Tracy and Dawn. I know them. We drove all the way from Eugene to here. You can only imagine that. There's my dad. Obviously, I remember my dad. You know, he was probably that's my mom. Yeah, but Chris, are you switching on? I thought I had 5 minutes.
There he is again.
This was our dad, Chester.
He actually, no, stay here. But he, well, our grandfather came over, they landed in Pennsylvania, and then they moved to Oklahoma, Missouri, and our dad was a coal miner, actually. I know. So, but he was a coal miner, and then he, the doctor told him to move to the Pacific Northwest, to move because he was, he didn't want him to die young like his father had done. So they moved to the Pacific Northwest, and that was my mom who saw on the scene before.
And then you hear, can you see that stance?
Oh, there they go.
I think I sent you guys to that bachelor party.
I don't remember.
Damn, was that fun or what? I'm just going to talk about my own basic. I have 7 brothers and sisters, and we have been the closest bunch of McCoys you could ever imagine. If one of us has a problem, the rest of us are there. And I don't know how important that is it probably is to all of us, but it kind of loses its effect as the generations move on and the cousins don't stay together, and it's not quite the same. Chris has assured me that he's going to make sure that this continues on, and he's going to keep the McCoy family going and keep the closeness and well, okay.
That was our first family photograph when all 8 of us were together, and we were together for 50 years, all 8 of us, and we lost my brother Kirby, who was really instrumental in Chris's life. We lost him to sclerotic cholangitis about 5 years ago, I think, and then my oldest brother Jack 2 years ago, he died of non-alcoholic liver-related illness. But we had the pleasure of being together for 50 years, and so we were really blessed. And if they were here today, they would be so proud and happy of what is happening today. And obviously, we're beyond proud of Chris for all that he's accomplished. And we are so happy that he has chosen someone so wonderful and supportive of him. And we are just really happy to be here.
Thank you. The rest of the folks trace very close family. We had big family reunions.
Sports.
Congratulations to Monte Darwin for being a grandfather.
Oh, thanks.
That was awesome. So now I want to invite Aunt Stephanie to give the history of the O'Sullivans.
Hello, I'm Stephanie. I'm Ciara's aunt. And I'm going to be talking about the O'Sullivan family. The year is 1953. Just barely 17 years old, my mother, Peggy Collins, who grew up in a small rural village in Ireland called Rock Chapel, County Cork, set sail for New York with her sister Betty in hopes of carving out a prosperous life for herself. The journey was a long 10 days, and much of it was spent being seasick. My mom was sponsored by her aunt's husband, and she had a job lined up for her when she arrived. She settled in the Bronx and worked for the Fireman's Fund and the Catholic Relief Services. After living in New York for 5 years, my mom got the call that her father was ill, and she knew she had to go home. Was she to return to New York again? Did she have a significant other waiting for her? That is something you're going to have to ask her. On New Year's Eve, my mom went to a dance. Being the newly returned Yank, in her stylish American clothes, my mom was asked by many young gentlemen for a dance. My father was one of those young gentlemen. When it was his turn to dance with her, someone intercepted and he lost his turn. At the end of the night, my father approached my mother and said, "Since you didn't give me a dance, will you let me escort you home?" My father was one of the few with a truck, and also since my Aunt Betty had a crush on his best friend, my mother agreed, only if they could all leave together. Well, there might not have been fireworks in the sky that night, but there were definitely sparks, because 3 months later, on St. Patrick's Day, my parents got engaged, and the following January in 1959, they were married. So this is taken after they were married.
Take that, okay, Cupid.
So here, my parents lived on the farm where my father was raised and his father and grandfather before him had grown up. The place is called Trinafella in County Limerick. In January 1960, my brother Jimmy was born, and just 20 months later, my sister Kathy, Ciara's mom, was born. So in this picture, you'll see Jimmy as a baby, my mother and father, and my grandmother. Times were tough in the early 60s for farmers in Ireland. In June 1962, my parents decided to pack up, leave the homestead, and travel to the U.S. with their 2 small kids. They first arrived in Toledo, Ohio, but shortly after, they moved to Defiance, about 50 miles southwest of Toledo. My father worked at a radio factory until it went on strike, and then he worked for an ammunition factory. After a year and a half, my father randomly walked into a cousin in Defiance who he didn't even know was living there. His cousin had a contact in Chicago that was the head of the Teamsters Union, and my dad was offered a job. They packed up again and decided to try out Chicago. Shortly arriving, they knew it was not going to be home for them. Where to next? So here's another picture of my grandmother. This is Jimmy and Kathy. This is in Ohio with Jimmy and Kathy. Back to where it started for my mother, New York. My parents settled in the Upper East Side of New York. My father worked in property management and took some side jobs, including working for some mob bosses, all legal, of course. My mother worked as a nurse's aide in Doctor's Hospital. In 1964, my sister Marina was born. Fast forward to 1976, my parents had a yearning to move back home. They thought rural Ireland would be an easier place to raise teenagers in the 70s. So here's some pictures of my siblings in the 70s. In 1977, I came along. When my siblings finished high school, they all flew the coop and moved to San Francisco. My parents were so lonesome, they decided to pack up again and follow them. The plan was to live in San Francisco for 2 years, but 33 years later, here we are celebrating the marriage of one of their 14 grandkids. This is leaving Ireland to come to San Francisco. So I'm delighted to be here to see my beautiful niece Ciara marry the love of her life. So on behalf of myself and the O'Sullivan family, we wish them many years of wedded bliss.
Let's take 10 minutes, grab some libations, socialize, and then we have groomsmen and bridesmaids. At this time, I would like to invite the bridesmaids of Ciara's life to the front. Amy, bring the squad. Welcome back, everyone, to the last part of our program. Hope everyone has plenty of libations. This is the fun part. So Ciara and I are very blessed to have just wonderful friends in our life. And not all those friends can be best man or maid of honor, but everyone would be, no question. So Ciara and I wanted to give an opportunity for the people that are very deeply close to us to give a toast or a roast for Ciara and me in our future. So I'm going to start it off.
Who wants to start?
By introducing Ciara's cousin and her life partner. What do we got to say? An officer, a police officer for San Francisco.
This is borderline corny, and probably only you are going to get it. Hello to all. I just want to say what an honor it is to stand here today. During the week, I received a request on behalf of the host to present a roast or a toast. I thought to myself, what should I do? Embarrass the bride and perhaps our family's pride. I believe this occasion calls for a bit of both. So at this time, I present this small rhyme. Ciara, you stand here with all your loved ones, but to me you were my first friend, and from there the stories don't end. Do you recall that day on 31st Avenue? In your parents' room, scissors in hand, my first haircut was your game plan. Speaking of hair and brilliant ideas, remember Christmas in the choir? When you set my hair on fire? Or that day we decided to get rid of our leg hair, hiding in the closet with my dad's razor and no faucet. School together, K through 9, always separated in the classroom, but together come noon. Competed in everything, dance, music, and grades, but let me make it clear, we didn't let that interfere. Kathy reigning from tour, my mom from New York, we'd argue who was more Irish. Now it sounds a bit childish. Speaking of mothers, ours a tough clan, but let's be honest, if we're blessed with their genes, we're lucky by all means. We had a lot of firsts between Ireland and here. Our mothers thought they knew, but really, they hadn't a clue. Back to that summer when Stephanie got married, every disco we attended in Newcastle West. Remember Smirnoff Ice? The best. Or that day your parents were gone. Land Cruiser in the garage. Yeah, we were 15 and only joyriding. Thank God you were co-pilot. High school and college, now a far cry. Only a few more words to you, and then I'll bid you adieu. Thank you for being you, for being all that you are to me. You're more than a cousin, you're a best friend times a dozen. What's ahead for Mrs. McCoy? Much health and much joy. You're getting married, and soon children to be carried. I won't linger anymore. For many more speeches to be heard. Thanks, Chris. My appreciation I'm done confessing, and to end in Irish blessing. So grab a drink. Walls for the wind, a roof for the rain, and drinks beside the fire. Laughter to cheer you, those you love near you, and all that your heart may desire. Congratulations, I love you.
If you don't know already, that was my cousin Ashlyn. A lot of life moments together. I'm going to hand it over to Martha Dobson, Martha Carr now. I can't get used to her last name now. Martha and I met, as you saw in my presentation, at Lululemon, but remained very good friends ever since. And so thanks, Ashlyn. Ashlyn, over 10
texting this morning, and we were like, have you done anything? No, but we need to. It's like, I think we can just get up there and wing it. And that's not what I do. Well, I love you anyway. I'm taking a different approach. I'm not really good at the roasting thing. I feel like I just have a hard time with that balance. And I really want to take a moment to acknowledge you in who you are as a wonderful friend and soon-to-be wonderful wife. I know Chris knows how lucky he is and what an awesome person you are, but I think that there's a couple things that I just want to identify for people who may not have gotten the luxury to be with you day in and day out for the last couple of years. So, as Ciara said that we met, she recruited me for Lululemon here. I was transferring from Colorado and I didn't know a soul. And she told me, okay, it was like a first date, right? We were emailing. She's like, I'm going to come pick you up. I said, I think we're moving to the Presidio. I don't know what that is, but it sounds really far away. I'm sure I can figure it out. And she was like, no, I'm coming to your house. I'll find you on a map. And she picked me up and she said, I've never actually been here. We went to yoga. Turns out she hates yoga. So that was good. We worked for a yoga company. We both discovered that we were runners in college, and Ciara had come back on the running bandwagon. So we started running together. And I'll never forget a run that we had. We were running through the Presidio, and she asked me at this point, my now husband and I were just dating, and she goes, well, you think you're going to get married? And I kind of froze. I was like, oh, but yeah, I want to marry someone like him. I love him. And he was like, oh, God, why do you think I love you? I'm not ready to commitment, right? And Ciara is always Ciara, right? Like, always to the point, always very serious, very, very intentional with everything she does. And was very pointed with the question of, like, well, then, like, why aren't you moving forward? And so my viewpoint was, well, how about you and Chris? I mean, yeah, we've been dating for 6 years, but you guys have been dating for like 9 months. Like, and Ciara was like, I think that we're moving forward and we want to be together for the rest of our lives, and we'll just see. I was like, oh my gosh, I really, A, need to get my life in order and be a little bit more responsible, and B, I just knew that Ciara is the type of person that she doesn't do anything half-hearted. And if you guys are here on the Ciara side of things, you have interacted with her on many, many facets with that interaction of her just putting her heart and soul, as you saw in her Irish dance and then running with all of these friends. She doesn't do anything half. She always puts her whole heart into it. She's so loyal and trustworthy, and I'm just so excited for your next adventure, and cheers to you guys. Cheers.
All right, next. We have Ellen Shahada now. Get to know these new last names.
Thank you.
Alex and Ellen, as I mentioned, they got married in Cairo this past year, so we had the luxury of traveling and witnessing that amazing experience. I met Ellen our freshman year of college. Lauren and I were roommates, and we were hanging out with the swimmer girls, and fell in love with her, and ended up moving in with her our senior year. So that's how I've known Ellen, and she's been a great friend ever since. Now I'm going to pass it off to you.
So I was going to say exactly that I met Ciara the first day of school, and we had really similar backgrounds, and we just started growing this really amazing friendship, and I really always counted on her as one of my closest friends at UCLA. And I had this amazing opportunity to move in with her and Lauren and Caitlin senior year, and they just took me in and became like my sisters, and we had so much fun, but I had the true luck to have the same morning schedule as Ciara. And we would wake up and make our coffee together. And as you know, that's a very important moment for Ciara. So we had this coffee moment in the morning. And we would talk every single morning for a whole year about like what we did the day before, what was on the internet, what we wanted to do, like what were our dreams. Like we would have these really intense morning talks, and it would be me and Ciara at the other end of the table. And we were both going to travel abroad when we graduated, and we talked ourselves through that, and we supported each other. And one of the topics that came up was boys. We were both very single in college, like, no boyfriends, and we just sort of laughed because we were like, we're never gonna find our other halves because we're just like these tough girls, and we don't take it like we don't take a lot of crap from people, and we're just like, this is who we are, and we weren't afraid of it, and we're just like, well, we'll see, like who knows what will happen. And I went off to Egypt, and I didn't see her for 3 years. And I'm coming back to California for our roommate Caitlin's wedding, she'll be here tomorrow, the tall volleyball player. And Ciara told me, she's like, Ellen, I have a boyfriend. And I was like, what? She has a boyfriend? And I was really worried because I hadn't met him, and I was like, I didn't get to vet this guy. This is Ciara, like, this is serious. And so I had all these doubts. Sorry, Chris. I had all these doubts. But I was like, okay, open mind. I'll have an open mind. Let's just see how this goes. So we went to Caitlin's wedding, and my boyfriend couldn't be there. Alex, not my husband. And Lauren's boyfriend couldn't be there either. And Chris was the most amazing boyfriend, not just to Ciara, but to me and Lauren. And he literally took care of us. Like, he kind of left Ciara at a point to take care of me and Lauren because we were so orphaned and sad at this wedding where we wanted to introduce our boyfriends to all our friends and we weren't there. And he spent the entire night getting us drinks and dancing with us and talking to us. And I remember you asked me so many questions about Alex, and you made me feel so comfortable and so at home. And that's when I knew that you guys were meant to be together, because a soulmate doesn't just love you, they love your life, they love your friends, they love your family. And Chris, you were amazing that night, and you've been amazing to Ciara ever since, and we are so lucky that she found someone like you and to have you in our lives, and we're so glad that you're going to take care of her forever.
Cheers.
All right, up next, Lauren Jurgis. Lauren and I met, I don't want to steal your speech, but Lauren and I were introduced to each other when we found out we were both going to be roommates at UCLA on the cross-country and track team together. And we lived in the same room for 4 whole years and didn't kill each other. And are still friends today, so here you go.
We like to brag about that a lot, because it's a big deal. 4 years in the same room? Come on, you guys. Chicks, you know how it goes, right? So I could go on about all the stories with Ciara and I over the 4 years that we spent in the same room together. It would be 10, 15, 20 minutes, an hour-long speech about all the times that we spent together, but that's another story. I mean, we stayed up studying really late, you know. If we weren't running, we were hitting the books hard at the library. It's a boring story. You guys don't want to hear about it, so I'm not going to go into it. But I want to mention the first time I met Chris was when I came up to visit Ciara a couple years after college, and I remember I came in just like I did today, coming in like, give me food. So that's kind of what happened that time. She was like, I got you. We're going to go to pizza. I was like, perfect. She's like, you're going to meet my boyfriend. I was like, what? Great, okay. All I could think about was pizza at the time. So that's all that was on my mind. But we went and got pizza. I met Chris. I was instantly kind of floored with the kind of welcoming warmth that he had about him. I'm sure you guys know what that feels like. And I was dealing with some boy issues, so after a couple beers, I was sharing that with him, and you know, it was really nice to just have someone that was so open and non-judgmental. And what he said kind of floored me. He was like, "What does he bring to the table, Lauren?" I was like, yeah, I don't know. I was like, "What do you mean by that?" It's just something that I've never heard before. And he was like, "No, like is he someone you go into business with?" And I was like, I mean, I've never heard that kind of advice before. But like, I kind of get, but honestly, I totally get it now. Knowing who you are as a person, and I just appreciate it, because I feel like moving forward and who I've met in my life, and I'm just so thankful to have that kind of advice. I actually talked to Ciara later. I was like, can I have your boyfriend's number? Because like, I'm having these issues and I really need to talk to him about it. And I feel like he would give me some really good advice. But for real, Ciara, my friend, my roommate, more like my sister, I'm so happy that you found your business partner in love.
All right, I was Lauren Jurgis. Up next, I've got my 5 amazing women from high school. I've been told that Amy is going to be speaking on behalf of everyone. So we have Ann Murphy here. Ann and I lived literally 2 houses down from each other, pretty much our whole lives. And so we've seen a lot of each other throughout the years. Lizzie and I literally lived across the street from each other. We'd call each other on the phone and look out the window to one another and just say, I can see you. Colleen, we met in high school and has been an incredible friend throughout my life since then. And thank you. She also works at Fort Point, so the beer that you are drinking tonight is Fort Point. Yeah, that's my Colleen. Laura's an amazing friend. We also met in high school, although we knew some of these girls. So I grew up in San Francisco, St. Cecilia's. Yeah. Amy, Laura, and Ann went to St. Brendan's, which is our rival.
Also, go Bears for the weekend.
Laura's a huge sports fan. And so I knew the girls throughout my grammar school, but really got to know them as great friends in high school. So I'm so happy that you're here tonight. And then Amy I also knew from St. Brendan's and then through high school. We also lived together. And actually, fun fact, I'm doing it. As you know, I met Chris on OkCupid. Amy and I were on OkCupid at the same time, and we'd look at the boys that we were matched up with. And Amy and I were both matched up with Chris. I told her I wanted to take that one. So here you go.
Really great. Yeah, we were sitting on my bed with both of our laptops because I was like in a crisis, and Ciara's like, "She's on OkCupid with me." I'm like, "All right." So we do it. And, oh, look at it, baseball fan, Seattle. Send me a message. Oh my God, me too. What do you think? She's like, "You really like him?" I was like, "Well, you should definitely message him." Okay. And, we found Chris, and for years I found my Frank on OkCupid a little later, so it worked out. Thanks. Thought we would go over that one, but well, she kind of said a few things about who we are, but this is a toast from the 5 of us because our stories are a little bit the same, and we didn't want to waste any time. So together, the 5 of us have made memories with Ciara for over 100 years. Some of us started those memories at 6 years old, when we moved across the street from the bride-to-be. Some of us were 10 when we had Ciara on our first soccer team. And some of us were just starting high school when our paths crossed. Whenever that time was, it produced a friendship that we held on to tightly. That friendship made us who we are, the women/bridesmaids we are here, and it literally brought us here in front of you. But our friendship with Ciara has seen us through many occasions, including, but not limited to, dance recitals, driving tests, prom nights, sake bombs, graduations, trips across the country, said injuries on those trips, spaghetti fights, Irish nightclubs, birthday parties ages 16 to 30 and counting, new apartments, countless boyfriends, better jobs, and other nights that ended up with us laughing on the floor, eating pizza, and drinking wine. Lots of OB wine. But there is one friendship occasion or theme, as I'll call it, we would like to speak about now, and it is love. It is what our friendship thrives on, and it is what has us all here today. We were never worried that Ciara would have a hard time finding love. She has always had it all around her, much thanks to us, and her family. But Ciara is a girl that, as you know, exudes love. Love is wherever she is. It is in everything she does. It can be seen in each singular act that she makes. Love encapsulates her soul, and she makes every choice with love being her guide. Love is authentic to Ciara. And to simply put it, she is love. And now that love has grown in a way most could only dream of. Chris has entered her life and gave her the one aspect missing to the perfect girl, the true to her love. We cannot be happier to celebrate this night that is so pure,
So transparent, which is a tech term for all you nerds out there, and so very marvelous. They had an instant connection, which has already grown into a beautifully committed life together. And I recently read a passage about a couple's meeting and thought of them, and thought of their soon-to-be love and this newlyweds that we have here. It read, "They tumbled into love, into ecstasy and trust, joy and peace, without horizon, without time, beyond words." And that about sums things up for how these two came to be and how we know that they will continue to live and love into the future. So to keep things on track, since we are running late, please raise your glass. A toast to the two of you from the five of us for 100 more years of friendship and love.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Alright, I think the grooms are up next. So if you are a groomsman, get up here.
Let's give it up one more time for the squad, the bridal party. Now are the gentlemen who have been a part of my life since I was a baby, through college, still today, and I have no clue what's going to happen here. Enjoy. And who wants to go first? Joe. Joe with the good hair.
Where's Brooks? Joe. Where's Hunter? Joe Corona? Where's Hunter? Come in, pass the mic. Come in. Give him the mic. Give me the mic.
This is my brother Daniel. There you go.
Okay, I didn't really plan to come up here and speak in front of y'all, but yeah, I just want to say, for you, Chris, you're the best older brother that anybody could ever ask for. Absolute rock star. Throughout my ups and downs, trials, and things in life, you've always been there, and been a rock, almost like another dad in a sense, or a dad in a sense. Yeah, it's very happy that you met somebody like Ciara. I mean, you came a long way from playing Boys to Men tracks, over little breakups when you were in 6th grade, and you'd hear the 45-second pause on the single, and boom, same song again. 45-second pause. Chris in the room, yeah, I'm not gonna say too much today. Maybe save more for tomorrow or something. But yeah, I'm very, we come from really humble roots, and I'm very happy you met somebody like Ciara, and her family's, from the way they've treated me has been awesome. Yeah, that's really all I have to say. I'm proud of you, man.
Josh right in high school, and Josh and I have just so much in common in our interests and our passions and the way we look at life, our politics, and he's been a friend that I wouldn't have expected to become a great friend of mine, because we didn't go to the same high school, we didn't really hang out a lot in college, but throughout life, he's been there every single time. And the more I've got to know him, the more proud I've been to be his friend and his beautiful wife, Helen. And so here's Josh.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, so I wanted, do you remember the first time we met?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was in high school. I signed up for this thing called DECA. Got to go, in a bus to go to Bellevue to go to a conference, had no idea what to expect, right? It's high school. Was thinking it was going to be some boring conference, and why am I doing this? So we get to Bellevue, because I'm from Puyallup, so we take the bus, check into this nice hotel, and I'm like, maybe there's, what is this DECA thing? Go to the Maid and Bauer Center for like the opening session, and there's thousands of students in there, because it's like, the Washington State DECA thing. So thousands of students, and then all of a sudden, like, looking at the stage, lasers, fog machines, like, this thing was like a U2 concert. and then like, here comes this guy through the smoke, like a freaking movie star, like a celebrity, and he goes, "Hi, I'm Chris McCoy, your DECA state president." And so I was like, man, this guy's like doing something right. So of course, I had to like go meet him. So, after the session or whatever, I walk down, I sort of like, throw the girls away, fight through the girls, and Chris is on the stage looking like a celebrity, and I reach up and I shake your hand. And I was like, man, I just shook this guy's hand. And that was that. That was that. Actually, for the next couple of years, me and my friend who met you, our thing on the side was, "Oh, I'm Chris McCoy, DECA president." Turns out, though, a couple of years later, we crossed paths again at the University of Washington. I had no idea, I don't think. We just kind of ran into each other, and, I'm thinking, oh, Chris is, thinking, oh, here's that guy that, like, came up and, like, wanted to shake my hand. Anyways, that's when I started to sort of get to know the real Chris from the celebrity Chris. And so when people ask about Chris, I'll end this. I think a good way to sum up Chris is the man, the myth, the legend. Okay. The man, because of the stories that we're hearing today, his family. You're a very loyal friend, good-hearted and all that. So you're a good man. The myth, because how many people follow Chris on Facebook? How many people unfollow Chris on Facebook? Here's the thing, Chris has big ideas, and it's really hard sometimes to figure out what the heck he's talking about. Okay? And the Facebook thing, he needs to just like shut it down a little bit. We'll do Facebook tomorrow. But anyways, yeah, it's big ideas. Sometimes you don't know what he's talking about, but chances are he's probably onto something. That's the truth. And then the legend, because of, again, nights like tonight. I mean, Chris is just capable. He has this gift of creating magical moments, right? And I think that's really special. And I look forward to being a part of many more of your magical moments.
Thank you, Josh.
Oh, cheers.
Cheers. So next up is this guy's like like Monk and Steve. He's kind of a brother from another mother. We look alike a bit. He was a DECA friend, and we hated each other first. We came together at last. And he's been in my corner through thick and thin. And here's Colin Danielson. All
right, so I saw the agenda ahead of time, like many of us, and recognized I have a couple minutes to speak. So I'm going to try to keep this short and brief, but of course, when I knew I had a couple minutes, I consulted with the brains behind my whole operation. You're going to see my beautiful kids tomorrow. The brain behind the operation is my wife, Ciara.
Yeah.
So I consulted with her. I said, what should I do? I can roast or I can toast. So I could come up here and I could talk to you about how punctual my friend Chris is. I could talk about how every time I expect him to be somewhere at a certain time, he is there 5 minutes early. I could talk to you about that. You know, I could talk to you about how one time Chris came to visit me and he rolled in and I looked at him and I thought, God, did I change the lights in my house? Do I have like a black light above my door? What is going on? Because his hair is purple. And then I looked at him and I said, dude, your hair is purple. He got in different lighting and I said, what's going on here, dude? Your hair is... And he just didn't want to talk about it. And, you know, as you can see, he's now gone to salons that do that better. Hunter and I told Chris, embrace the gray. I got a patch coming up here. My wife made me shave my beard, but I had some gray here too, and it's chicks dig it. Not like my battery's terrible. All right, so there's the roast. Here's the toast. Chris brought this up earlier, and I'm going to say there's not a lot of things that I'm really freaking good at. And there's not a lot of things that my wife, sorry Tara, is really freaking good at. But one thing that we are really good at is being parents. And the most important thing to us is our 2 kids. And our 2 kids don't have a godmother. Tara has beautiful, amazing friends. We have aunts. We have wonderful women in our life, but nobody lived up. But both of our kids, Brody and Riley, have a godfather. And that's Chris. So what I want to say to you, Craig and Kathy, is you are so blessed to have Chris joining your family. Because you can hear from me, and I know, I've met you, I've talked to Ciara, I know how important it is to you, what parenting means to you. And from one parent to another, you are so blessed to have Chris joining your family. Because he's a wonderful friend. He doesn't give up. He's always there. There's going to be ups and there's going to be downs like every family, but he will always be there. And that's why he's a godfather to our kids. So I just want to say, this is a wonderful wedding, wonderful time, and if you run into Chris on the street and the lighting's not right, don't question yourself. Just pitch him $50 so we can go to a good salon. Okay? So raise your glasses, Chris and Ciara.
Next gentleman up I'd like to introduce is another kind of brother-like guy, Brady Albers. And Brady and I met at the fraternity, Sigma Tau Fiji, University of Washington, which we don't like to talk a lot about what we do and how we do it, but we're very lucky to be a part of the fraternity. And Brady is a friend who's from Tacoma, I'm from Kelso, so we have a little bit in common. We were Bellevue guys, love Bellevue guys, but we were, Brady's a football guy, I love sports, and we hit it off right from the beginning. And when I started my first company, Brady became one of my, basically biggest partners. And post-company became one of my best friends. And so...
not until that.
And he is... turn over to Brady.
Yeah, we're hitting the fraternity wave now, so this may be rough. Anyway, I'm kind of inverted. I'm going to flip the toast and the roast. But no, I've been involved with Chris, obviously knowing each other, getting to know each other in the fraternity, and became great friends, and then helped along the way with many business pursuits, whatever it was, you know, Ubering before Uber in my car to Chris in a way, or whatever the heck it was. Shouldn't have done that. Or, you know, driving down to see family in the hospital, whatever it was, or helping them out with the pitching business, and then expanding into actually going into business and working together with your sports, and it was a heck of a thing. And you know, I mean, for me, knowing what you've gone through in the past, I mean, it's great to have Ciara in the picture, where you know someone's going to support you, do what you do and what you need to do, and be there through thick and thin. So it's nothing but exciting. You found the right girl. It's going to be great. Crazy happy for you guys. So it's fantastic. Toast to that. Yeah. And now to the roast. So this is a wedding. This is a wedding. Things happen that are customary at weddings, and you know there's a process involved with everything. People send out save the dates, RSVPs, what have you, to get it on your calendar and start locking things in. That probably happened for most of you sitting here before us. For those of us in the groom's party, the bridal party, we received quite a few Google invites, Google Calendar updates, invites, what have you, for everything. This goes to what we did yesterday, today, tomorrow, what we're going to do. The bachelor party, we had an invite from Chris for a trivia thing at a pool, outside the pool. It was scheduled. It was to the minute. And Chris is punctual, and things are shifted around. 20 minutes, you get a Google update. You know when you want to leave, when you need to leave, or Google's projections of traffic and what have you. So it's just something with Chris. Happy hour, whatever it is. So just know that when you spend some time with Chris, more isolated perhaps, in the future, you're going to get an invite for the calendar. If you don't do Google, if you don't even have a smartphone, you're going to get it. So that's cool. Just be ready. Be ready. Get a smartphone. There's that. And then kind of we're going to segue into the fraternity, just memory bank here, and we'll analogize it a little bit. When you're running a tech startup, a company, I mean, there's just things you got to manage. You got to manage dollars in, dollars out. And, balancing the budget is a big thing. Our country doesn't do it so well. But Chris has to do that on a day in, day out basis. And he learned that lesson, at a younger age. And one of my more early memories of knowing Chris and experiencing that was our freshman year in college, when we thought it would be a smart idea to put together a fund for social activities, whether it was buying pops and things that are fun to engage with in college, or food, pizza, whatever. And so we all pooled our money together and got a little social fund going on. So use your imagination. And we had that. It was great. We had a number of good fun events, and we had one thing that we were doing. We were all building this big sign, big kind of hoopla, fraternity versus fraternity thing back in college around our homecoming game. And we put Chris in charge of, I don't know what we put you in charge of. I don't know who put you in charge of, whatever we put you in charge of. However, we're working on this thing, built this big sign up all night, whatever you can put it in. And, Chris was, there helping us out too. We'd have pizza every night. We'd have, just things were provided for us. Pizza every night, for about a week. And then, even like we went to the next level and we got a whole bunch of double shots because we were up all night, and it was quite draining, and the double shots helped. However, little did we know that Chris was going right into our fund. It's a social fund for a whole quarter. We probably had another month or two, and dollars in, dollars out. So that was a lesson for Chris and all of us early on. That you got accountability and transparency is a big thing. That was cool. Double shots are great. Starbucks. Anyway, crazy happy for you guys. Couldn't be more proud to be involved, and looking forward to the future.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce my future brother father-in-law, and this guy is, I have so much in common with him in that we care a lot about our hometown, we care a lot about our families. He's one of the most loyal men I've ever met, and very proud that recently he got graduated from the police academy in San Francisco. Now he's a police officer in San Francisco.
Funny you mentioned all the things we have in common. That'll come in later. So anyway, I think I remember the first time I heard about Chris. Ciara was driving me around somewhere. Actually, she didn't say his name is Chris. I think she knew that would freak me out a little bit. My name's Chris. Yeah, she's driving me around. She's like, "Yeah, I met this guy, okay, Cupid, and I don't know about him, blah blah." I just kept thinking, "Why are you telling me this? I am your brother." He lives across the street. Anne lives right up the block. Why aren't you telling him all of this? I don't know, but anyway. Chris finally makes it over for Sunday dinner, and the door opens. I didn't go to the door. My parents opened the door. And walks in Chris. He meets my parents. He meets me in the kitchen. I didn't meet him. And he goes, kind of the same thing. "Hello, my name is Chris McCoy. What's your portfolio look like?" Instantly, I was just like, "Who in the hell did you just bring into this house?" But I was willing to look past it. So we sat down, we started eating dinner. Two things became quite apparent. It was one, my sister, wow, she really likes this guy. She's all goofy and giddy and stuff. The second thing I realized is, if I want seconds, I better get up right now. There's Chris in this house now. I'm competing. From then on, I'm just trying to find out what we can agree upon, what we have in common. Well, this guy is a sports guy. Excellent. But he's the wrong kind of sports guy. And pretty much everyone else here, actually, I'm going to probably offend you. A Seahawks fan. Thank you. And it's not just any Seahawks fan. It's the kind of Seahawks fan that has these annoying stats that makes Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll sound like Joe Montana and Bill Walsh. Obscure stats you can't argue because they're just so obscure. It's weird. You probably have a picture of Russell Wilson in your wallet right now. So sports, yes, and then keep going, and it's like politics. Oh, this guy's a smart guy. Maybe we can agree on that. Nope. Not even on the same planet. All right, well, here we go. This is just like last week. Kept going. But what I can say, what we both agree on, is that Ciara is absolutely worthy of undying love and devotion and admiration. She's a classy person, classy woman. I just couldn't be happier for her based on how happy she is, absolutely worthy of somebody who can give her what she wants and deserves, and Chris thinks that he is the man that can provide that. And actually, this is just today, after golfing with him, I suppose we can agree that he can be that man. No, I'm kidding. I I am honestly genuinely happy for both of you. The love and compassion you guys show for each other is something you don't see that often. And I really wish you all the best. So here's to agreeing to disagree on the small things. But agreeing on the things that matter.
Now I'd like to introduce the guy with the good hair. I met in college. I care a lot about the people that I let into my life. I grew up with a lot of people I couldn't trust, frankly, and so as I was able to go through life and meet people that I could, it meant a lot to me. And so when I met Joe, he was different than most of my fraternity brothers. He was quieter, but he was very statistical, very analytical, but also just the biggest bro. And we had sleep porches in the fraternity where, I'm not sure what the numbers were, but half the class of 25 plus slept upstairs, the rest slept downstairs, something like that. Joe slept downstairs, I slept upstairs. Didn't really get a chance to know him. We had this walk across University Avenue, and I asked him what he wanted to do someday. He said, I wanted to start a company. And I said, I like you. And then it became Husky football games and fantasy football, and I give the worst best man speech of all time at his wedding, I apologize. But I was best man at Joe's wedding. Now he has a beautiful daughter, and he is one of my best buddies. He's my bro.
I'd like to thank the VP of Content and the CEO of the night. Thank you guys. So I was sitting on my couch last week, or maybe this week, and a little email crept up on my phone and it said, well, you can roast or toast for 3 minutes, or maybe 5. Maybe 5. I said, well, 3 minutes, that's going to be really tough to kind of get into that time, like all these like stories that have creeped into my mind. I'm not going to have time to tell them all. Like that time that Chris at 1:30 in the morning ordered 3 magic bullets for the price of 2 because he respected the pitch. And I have to say, I did have many delicious smoothies out of that magic bullet when we lived together. So I think it was a good buy after all these years. I'm behind you on that. But yeah, I was kind of interested in that 3 to 5 minute window because a lot of you were at my wedding, and Chris was the best man at my wedding and talked at the rehearsal dinner before that. And as you can imagine, Chris gave a great heartfelt speech. It took quite a while. And my wife who couldn't be here, we just had a 7-week-old kid, 7-week-old daughter. She said, you better tell Chris he can only talk for 5 minutes at the wedding. I said, okay, I'll do the best I can. I'll talk to him. I'll see. I think I can maybe get him, like 7 minutes at best. He likes to talk. And so Chris gets up at my wedding and just starts going and starts going and starts going and starts going. And it's a great wedding. Everyone's just having the best time. And Chris, he was going on for maybe 15 minutes or so. And then Todd, we're sitting right there, pulled out a broom and swept him off the stage. And you think this is where the story ends, but actually it continued just this last year, which I haven't really told anyone about. I was going to a wedding for my good friend from grade school, and she went to Texas to go to college. So there were a bunch of these people from like Virginia and Texas and the East Coast. And so we were talking, and I was talking to someone, and he said his last name was Cahill, and I said, wow. I know a couple of Cahills. I went to college with a bunch of Cahills. And they said, oh, your name is Joe? Oh, your name is Joe Cartano? And I said, yeah, my name was Joe Cartano. And he was kind of like, why is this ringing such a bell with this guy? And he said, I saw your speech on YouTube. I'd never met this guy. And so we were just talking, and he said, yeah, I saw your whole speech, and the backstory behind that is Chris recorded another speech for me after the wedding and put it on YouTube, and if you Google carefully, you might be able to find it. It might still be lurking like in the dark web somewhere. And when we get back to the roast and toast, I want to kind of roast Chris and maybe toast Ciara a little more. But everyone, people said, oh wow, Chris talked so long. That was, what did you guys think of that? And I loved it. I loved it. Chelsea loved it. We all loved it. It made the wedding for us. And Chris gets up there and takes his time and talks to you because he wears his heart on his sleeve. He's genuine. He's most honest. He's always there for you. He's just letting his emotion out, and it was great. And just think the guy to put out another speech the next day and put it on YouTube, and it's just the most Chris thing, You all know Chris. And I'll tell a little quick Ciara story as well, just to get into more of a toast. We actually, Colin and I met Ciara like really, really early on.
Smoke signals.
Really early on in their relationship, like before it even started. We were down in San Francisco for the Super Bowl, and we had dinner together at like an Italian restaurant, and it was that point where they were like, I don't know if they'd seen each other maybe once or twice, but it was like extremely new, and we were meeting Ciara. Ciara was great, and then we were going to go on with the rest of the night, and we were thinking, yeah, let's go to the bars and hang out, enjoy the city, and meet whoever. And we just kept. Chris just kept on saying, like, I really remember it now. Kept saying like 8 times, like, hey, what do you guys think of Ciara? We're like, yeah, she's great, man. Let's go out and hang out. Let's go have a good time. He's like, yeah, I really like this Ciara girl, and we're like, yeah, you guys are on OkCupid, whatever, like, who's on your guys' profiles? He's like, yeah, I'm not as interested in, like, the OkCupid thing anymore. I really like this Ciara girl. What do you guys think? We're like, yeah, she's great. And then, like, it's just kind of really funny, like, having that, like, memory of meeting them within a month, or it must have been, like, really early on, and now here we are, and Ciara's always come up with Chris, whenever there's, like, weddings in town, they stay at our house. And Chris will always like forget something, like guaranteed. And Ciara's like so calm and so nice, and my wife's always just like, yeah, we love Ciara, and Chris, you're lucky to have met Ciara. I'm like, Ciara, you're also lucky to have met Chris, because Chris is my best friend in the house. He's probably my best friend. And he's just a guy that'll be there for you, whenever you need it, and even when he has no time. He's the guy that's always there for you, always honest, and he's a great friend. And we love you guys both.
That's true. I did get swept off the stage by Tom. Thank you, Tom. Love you, Joe, man. Love you. So, last person in my party is a guy that I looked up to from the first day. Grew up in Bellevue, football player, baseball player, loved the Mariners maybe more than I did, and just through and through an upstanding guy. And as I got to know him, we had some ups and downs in college. I did things, he did things. We didn't like do the same things. But towards the end, we started to do things. And he is a guy today that I think is a tremendous man and so smart and represents everything that I love about humanity, which is just doing the right thing and taking risks. And this is Hunter.
I actually don't know those things. But Chris, Ciara, love you guys. So happy for you guys this weekend. But I also went the roast route.
Do it, Hunter. And when it comes to a roast of Chris McCoy, there's lots of low-hanging fruit. But I'm just gonna skip to a couple thoughts and stories and a quick survey a la John. So, show of hands for anyone in this room who has sat down with Chris and chatted business or technology. It's quite a few. Show of hands who understood every word of that conversation. Marcus, my guy. As we know tonight, Chris is a talker. He's also a big sports guy. And if you've ever spent a lot of time with Chris, you'll notice that he likes to do these sports analogies that are sometimes a little ridiculous. Like, you'll be sitting there and he'll be like, dude, you are the Willie Mays of backgammon. Like, what the hell does that even mean? And I also want to say that Chris kind of crowns himself a fantasy football god. And his team's in last place this year, and it's awesome.
I know which like to beat me.
Actually on track for the worst, lowest scoring point total of all time, but we don't need to talk about that.
Thanks, bro.
And I also wanted to tell a little story from college. So this is pretty infamous with a bunch of our friends here from college. So at the University of Washington, there is this thing called College Invasion Weekend, which is when 20,000 students go up to Whistler and kind of descend on the town over Martin Luther King weekend. And it's usually a pretty good time, as you can imagine. And it's highly anticipated, and everybody's talking about it, and you really want to get up there, and it always ends up with some pretty funny stories. So we are in the car ride up, and we're a bunch of us, and I think 4 or 5 guys piled into I don't know, some sort of Seattle Subaru situation or something. And we're getting, it's about a 5-6 hour drive from Seattle to Whistler. You got to go across the border, and it's windy, and you kind of get anxious, and you're excited for a fun weekend, and you're 19, 20 years old. And so we start kind of like, we get a little antsy, like we're getting excited. And we decide that this is at the time where iPods were pretty new and pretty cool, and you could plug your iPod into the car and you could play music. So we're like, this is a great idea. Let's go around the car and everybody plays a song to get us pumped up going into Whistler College Invasion. Right? So the iPods get passed around. And, it's like we're talking Tupac and Pearl Jam and Red Hot Chili Peppers, and everybody's getting just jacked up for the weekend. So then the iPod comes around to Chris McCoy. And he puts on Drops of Jupiter by Train. We're all looking at each other like, what the hell is going on right now? Bunch of 20-year-olds in the Subaru. So that's one that Chris will never live down. I had to get it out there tonight. Love you guys. Love you guys so much. Congratulations.
Well, I got some great men.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen. We're out. Hang out. Bring out the
Dude, I love you. We cannot wait to celebrate with you tomorrow.